Judge.
Okay.
Let's down the street. Smile, Will.
That's it, I'm on a mission to try my phone. That's a good one.
Oh, all of that. Okay, let's
We were full of smiles. We were watching y'all put them on at your yard, for your photos. So we were in the office and we were looking at both of them. They were being a little entertained.
Okay, awesome. I'll just sit right here. Perfect. I hate the front rows.
Okay.
It was,
Where they know it does.
yes,
Judge,
yes.
I think, if you would start with adding to the list, I think they're wanting to be added to the list.
Okay.
Yep. Judge, and make sure everyone's signed.
Okay.
She said, let's make
For delays, we're waiting on the Linda to come
Make sure you got it on the full screen, because if you reduce it this way,
Right.
that way.
But I don't know that I can. Let me see.
Yeah, you can.
It's disgusting.
Okay. Okay, so it does, okay, never mind. Don't know what I'd do without you. Seriously. I wasn't quite sure if I could just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Good morning. All right, we'll start back. It's my understanding we have some people in the audience today that, well, I guess before we discuss our current list, if they have things they want to add to for us to consider, then we need to hear from them first. So if you would, if you're here and would want to be heard as far as the court considering your item, I would ask if you would step forward, step up to the mic, introduce yourself, and tell us what your project is. Also, just a reminder to everyone, before you leave today, sign in. I'm just gonna move. I'm not getting up here talking. Somebody can talk.
Yes, yes.
Come on, Dave.
I still think he's had the podium, I don't know why.
Yeah, he don't want the podium. He just moving it.
Is this what I'm supposed to do?
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry about that feedback. That's not there.
That's okay.
All right.
So, we've already spoken before, all of you, and I'm Jill Wyatt Marshall. This is, that's my husband Matt, this is our son Jake. We're wanting to relocate Kenneth White Galleries to Plainview, where we all live now. And I'm sure you all have notes about what we want to do. We're looking for an 8,000 to 10,000 square foot building, and we are needing some help to like, what?
Down payment, maybe help with some renovations,
There you go.
a little assistance to help us get the ball rolling.
Right. And that's kind of it, since y'all probably heard us twice already. So,
Well, I appreciate y'all being here. I was gone, so nice to meet you. I'll talk to you on your cell phone.
Yes, thank you.
But like I say, yeah, actually what we're gonna do today is just preliminary type of stuff, and we'll be in touch with you.
okay, that
Either
sounds
through
great.
this or through the EDC,
Okay.
so, but either way, you know.
When we talked to him Friday, after we got out of the meeting, I went and talked to Christie Ray and gave her all of our phone numbers and address and all of that. And she is going to get with the executive board, which you're on, about what they can do and how they can help.
Okay, all right.
Thank y'all
All
so
right.
much.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
Is there anyone else?
Yes, please.
All right.
Me,
Yeah.
I want to add something.
Okay.
I'm wanting to add a big TV, bigger than 75 inches, 85 inches, to the assembly room at the courthouse.
I thought we'd already done that.
No, that's for the jury room. That was for the jury, and it wasn't a big one. This one is for that room for, so many people now are coming and they have programs that need to hook up to, and so I carry the projector in there and the screen in there. And so I thought if we could attach it to that wall, they could just hook their laptops in like we do here, and, you know, just make it permanent in that room. So it's not a lot of money, and
Okay.
if it goes on the list, good. If it doesn't,
How much money do you think that would be?
well, if we could budget 5,000.
Okay. All right. All right, yes, ma'am.
Just seems fair.
I would like to ask the court to consider purchasing an HR program for me,
Okay.
and it is with Encode. The last time I checked, it ran about 15,000. I'm not sure what it's now, and when I say last time I checked, it was at least 10 years ago, but that would help me track. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's been a while, but that would help me track, like the FMLA, we've had to track it manually,
Okay.
you know, and it would help me track the time. As you know, I do Excel spreadsheets on that. So that's what I'm saying. Everything's input manually into the system, and an HR program
Okay.
would assist me.
So
Thank
we'll
you,
say
sir.
about 15?
Yeah.
Was that a quote they gave you 10 years ago, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So you're gonna need to get a current one
Yeah, let's get it correct.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a, you know, like,
Yeah,
let's just get a more current code, quote.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there. But yes, that's
Okay.
good.
Thanks,
All right,
sir.
anyone else?
Are we able to, did I put, how did y'all put Kenneth White's gallery on there?
I just put Jill Marshall White, request for assistance. Not knowing all the particulars or the details of that, right, you know, offhand, since they did come in this morning, I think it's something we're probably need to talk to the EDC about, because they do have funds available for what I think they're asking for. So,
That's all about the CARES grant. So, sod or air conditioning. We're talking about that too. That didn't take that.
okay, all right, then,
Judge,
yes,
on number 5,
yes.
can we hold off on that a little bit? I've got a call into Lubbock, to Lone Star Shooting Range to see what it costs them and how much waste disposal and everything. I'm finding out that there's some, this lead contaminant and all this may cost additional. And I don't want to call the company that I'm talking to buy this from because they're not going to tell me the truth. So I've talked to Lone Star and they're supposed to call me back to kind of give me an idea of what they have to go through and when they have to get it inspected and all that. So if we could hold off on that, please.
Okay, all right. And everything that we'll do today, we'll come up, this is my ideal, is we'll go through, let each commissioner talk, and we'll try to come up with the top 10. And I'm not saying the top 10 will end up being the 10, but we've got to have a jumping off point.
Right.
And so let's do the top 10. We'll take some time and try to secure estimates, proposals, bids, whatever we need to do with these top 10, and then we'll see where we're at after the top 10, okay? And so, and like I say, this isn't my money to spend, so it's the court's money. So, if y'all want to do 12, if y'all want to do 5, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just thinking if we can do the top 10, that will give us a starting point. Because some things, just like the pistol range, once we get investigated, it may turn out to not be something we want to do, okay? And so, now just to start the ball rolling, we have already, number 4 on your list, the cybersecurity. When we entered that contract with CTSI, then we've already expended those funds for that.
So we can put that as number 1.
We can put that as number 1.
Okay.
Because we have already expended funds for that. We're going to expend funds for that as long as we can out of this fund. But then also understanding that once this fund has been exhausted, then that will be an expense the county will have to absorb.
And is Melinda going to give us a amount to put in there?
She better, that's why she took the time out.
Okay, so far today, and I'm including a bill that we just got this week for the rest of our annual payment for 2022, but we have spent $69,924.13.
Okay, I know you don't like this, but let's say $70,000.
I have to deal in actual because that's what I have to report.
You deal with
So,
actual, we have to deal with ballpark.
Yeah,
so
they're not, they're not,
let's say $70,000
Right,
for this
so-
year. So if you anticipate a 5% increase each year, I'm just trying to calculate it to the end of 2026 to see how much of the funding out of this we're going to spend on
I don't know that there's an
I was gonna
increase on the
think-
annual
I think
payment.
they set it for 3 years.
this. For 3 years, okay.
Now,
So,
after that, it will be
Yeah.
probably.
okay, so let's put, on number 4, let's put $210,000.
Okay, well, my figure comes to $241,763.65.
Okay, like I said, let's put $250,000. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. All right, now, the item number 2, and I'm not gonna sit and rank all these, I don't want y'all to get the wrong idea, but these were things we've already started with. So, the cybersecurity was 1, the HVAC system is number 2. Because we have, I guess Jesse reported yesterday about a bill that Johnson Control gave us to replace some stuff. So, we really need an HVAC system for this building.
What they put in
So,
cybersecurity?
number 1,
Put in-
I would rank as number 2, okay, which is the HVAC system. Okay, we've had, without disclosing actual amount number, as far as talking to both vendors that you talk to, which are both on the buy board.
Yes,
And so, give a ballpark of what you think that will cost.
10.5,
1.5? Okay,
I'm gonna,
all right.
and that may in the end be high, but from what we looked at and talked to and all that, that's why I see between the whole deal. Don't you think, Jesse?
Yep, we can go with that.
And then, this is the last one, I promise I'm gonna rank. But item number 2, I would rank as number 3. And it is an update on our electrical checkout here at the courthouse. I think it's going to have to go hand in hand with the HVAC system because the age of our electrical system, I think we're gonna have some updating done to that. And Jesse, do you have a ballpark on that or anything like that?
I talked to one electric company and it's gonna vary. I'm gonna just roughly say between 50 and 100.
Okay. On all the estimates, I'm marking down the higher end, okay? Because we can always come back and re-spend money, but, okay. All right, then I'm done, as far as what I had on my list, maybe is 1, 2, 3, on the list, so, if y'all just wanna talk, I wouldn't write these down, I wouldn't mark them on your list if you wanted to look all official, but, I'll just start down with Harold, and we'll work our way down the line.
Okay, next on my list, we pretty much covered what I thought from, what we need to do. 3 things I have coming up next, and one of them is a partnership that's going on between the city of Plainview and Hale County Communities. This is the Public Health Department of remodeling the offices over in the new city hall. And the Public Health Department is something that you gotta have whether you want it or not. And they're consolidating it from where it was down off of Ash Street to the basement over at the city hall. And I asked Jeffrey Snyder yesterday if they had come up with the final totals, and they haven't yet. So it's still estimated cost is $450,000. And that will be split between the city and the county. Anybody else want? It's one of those deals, we gotta have it, and we've both been partners since day one in the public health department, so
Okay.
we're gonna have to do something one way or the other.
All right.
The next one is
Yes, I did.
the street infrastructure deal out off of 24th, behind the Walmart deal, behind the Walmart store and Tractor Supply is, there you go, Jim. And if everybody will look on that list and everybody see the dotted yellow line on the list, that's actually the city limits sign. What they're wanting us to help with is that little red line from where the pavement ends on 24th Street up to Mesa Drive. The estimated cost of this little red stripe is $500,000. But if you look, the way the city limits goes with the little yellow dots, actually what they're gonna pay for, the most of it, is actually outside in the county. And the city's gonna pay the bulk of paving Mesa Drive, which will alleviate some of that traffic coming down Tractor Supply and that traffic jam right there, and alleviate or help with the traffic coming off of Andy Taylor Road going up to 24th Street. And there's also with this, there are some things looking at housing developments, looking at, because there's a group out of Austin, Texas, that we done some stuff in the court, so they can build some not apartments, but condo type things for housing for people 50 years and over, our age.
Now, Harold, that red, how long is that red?
It's probably an eighth of a mile, Anna, I think. We need some new,
24th to Andy Taylor?
no,
Oh,
I would like, it would be easier if we could pave for where the pavement ends.
Right.
Down 24th.
right.
They're just wanting us to pay from there to there. But it would be easier and better for everybody if we took the money and paved it all the way down to the corner of 24th and Andy Taylor.
Well, I'm sure it would be better.
I mean, that would
Okay.
alleviate.
So they're just wanting to go to where Mesa is
Mesa's
over
gonna come
on
up
the
behind
north side of West Gate.
Walmart, yes. And it will alleviate all that traffic jam underneath Highway 70 and the interstate. Because I'm surprised we haven't got anybody.
So Harold, to do just that red part right there,
They're looking at
it's
500,000.
500,000.
That's what Jeffrey told me.
It's how much?
500,000.
500,000. The other part of it, if we wind up at the end of this and come up with some extra, it would behoove us to pay from that point down to 24th and Andy Taylor.
How much would that be?
I'm gonna say it's probably another $500,000 to do that. If we pave it from where the city wants us to go to, it's probably another 800 miles in there.
From this point back to Andy Taylor?
No.
This point back?
If we pay, that's 500,000 from there to there.
Uh-huh,
And if we took, it went from there to 24,
uh-huh.
or to Andy Taylor, it would probably be around another 500,000. They used to say you could, before all the prices went crazy, you could pave a road for $1 million a mile, but now it's up to like $2 million a mile to pave a street. That's either concrete or asphalt from what everybody tells me, so.
Okay, what you got next?
I'm gonna go to the courthouse.
Okay.
I think this carpet and all this was put in, in the 80s,
70s, I guess, 80s.
70s, late 70s, early 80s. Next on my list is carpet or laminate flooring. Could do either one or both and update this courthouse.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed the frame, when you walk in downstairs, the stuff is pulled apart.
Whenever there's any voting machines.
And that's part of it.
Well, Harold, I'm gonna ask you to reach out into your other, and I know you're not able to give bids or anything on county property, but just an educated guess, if we put laminate or flooring in, what are we looking at ballpark?
What'd he say?
$50,000.
How much?
50?
Maybe a little more. I think it'll be pretty close to that.
For real? I thought it'd be a lot more than that.
I do too.
We waited.
Are you doing one closet?
Judge, and I'm gonna speak on the behalf that we carpeted Carla's office and we spent,
About $25.
yeah, and it wasn't,
How much was it?
it was Carla's office and.
Extension
The
office.
extension office. So that would be
Well, just our halls and
Yeah.
the conference room.
the halls, we didn't
Yeah.
even go into the offices.
But if I may add to that, but we also did the baseboards, and if we don't do the baseboards because of
Well,
the,
we would have to do the baseboards.
Yeah, you'll have to have them in
Yeah.
there, so.
okay, so it's gonna run
You don't
about,
wanna keep this on your list.
I
Okay,
have to go look to see, you
Yeah.
know what that was? Cause I don't remember.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot
Oh,
here.
no,
It was
that's
about
fine.
20.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking about,
It was
20,000.
about
Well, all I was thinking about. I
It's
wouldn't-
carpet,
Yeah, carpet cost.
materials.
If you take labor, take up, or demolition, and floating and all that, you should have been, that's gonna be $125,000, $150,000.
Okay, let's put 150.
Yeah.
All right. Next, the courthouse restoration, we had a guy come and look, and he's acquainted with Vicky, and Vicky has some figures. Here, yeah. This one.
That's my last two copies.
Now, obviously, we're not gonna use this, we're just gonna use this for a ballpark figure.
No, back on the carpet, it's gonna depend on how good a material you want, and all of that, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be, okay, so, we do have these figures, I don't see where we can total them up without just,
Can't sum that at the bottom, you can't sum it at the bottom.
Yeah. It has, because we're gonna keep adding stuff.
Okay. Can you scroll down and give the court number?
What's the total working today?
It was a little over
Well, it's each.
At the low end.
okay. Because that, just
Depends
that,
on what you wanna do.
after number 10 would be,
Carla's trying to sum that up on the spreadsheet. here,
Okay.
Judge.
You're at 2,725,000.
2,725,000.
Yes. What do you want me to put for
Okay.
And that's including everything then.
That would be everything. You know, when we first,
the, yes.
first had the guy come and look, we were talking about fixing up our entryway and stuff. And so, and while he was here, he just went through the whole courthouse. He did find out that underneath this carpet, we have oak, is it oak floors? Oak floors, and the baseboards are marble.
Really?
So,
There's,
On what floor?
Out here.
if you, yeah, it's some
Oh my
kind of marble
gosh.
terrazzo stuff, because I pulled it off the wall where it curves down like it used to. You know, how they built them.
and so, okay, what's your next item, girl?
Was this part of Harold's also?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Vicky did a check, but he's going through his list and he said courthouse renovations.
Okay.
This was Vicky's work though.
Yes.
I'm not trying to take credit away from Vicky, but we're still on Harold's list, so.
Okay.
So that's your number 4, Harold?
No, that's actually his number 7.
Number 7.
The other thing, and it's back on the subject of the partnership that started before any of us ever got here in the airport project.
What number is that, Harold?
Number 20.
Number 20.
Okay, okay.
At this point, I'm having to explain to you, somewhere back in the late 60s, early 70s, we had the airport and the health department. There was some kind of agreement, and I think the sheriff's department was in on part of it. When they signed all the agreement, you may have to go back and look at it. When they did it, the city actually, we still fund money with the health department, but the city actually takes care of it. We still fund money, and the city still funds money with the airport, but the county takes care of the airport. I don't know how it was set up, and I think I figured out why we now hold city prisons. Because I think all three of those were all tied together at some point back before all of us got here. So we're all on the hook for the airport and the health department. So that's my next thing is,
The airport.
yes,
Okay. What's your next thing?
Wait, the airport, how much money?
It's gonna be unclear right now. I mean,
Okay, just don't put anything.
don't put any
Okay.
dollar.
it's unclear because you still get stuff from TxDOT Aviation, some of that, don't we, Melinda, or
The next big project that's coming up out there is a new terminal building.
terminal building?
And they're just in the very beginning stages of looking at other terminals. They're about to, at some point, they're gonna take a trip around the state, well, I say around the state, to several airports, not around the whole state, to look at some new terminal buildings that have been built, to give the airport board some ideas, and then Park Hill will, go through the design process where they kind of find out what we're looking for as far as facilities, and then kind of come up with some preliminary designs, I think, and estimates. There is, kind of like we did with the hangar acquisition, we're sort of, I think we're banking right now some TxDOT money that will accrue over a few years, and then that will can be used to offset some of the costs, and then of course there's the whatever's left over would be the county and the city. So
There's
And
a
this is-
participation fee, or there's a participation sponsorship amount that the city and the county will split once they get that set.
And I will say this is not just somebody saying, hey, let's go out and let's get a terminal building. This is part of the master plan that was developed back in 2008 maybe,
Yeah.
and that we're trying to work toward.
And through that master plan is how we got funding so far, right?
Yes, and the other thing is, I think now with the hangar acquisition, I think that opens us up to greater TxDOT and federal funding for projects, since we now own all of the land and the buildings at the airport. So
Okay.
that was the reason to do the hangar acquisition to begin with.
So bottom line, basically, the terminal construction and everything may not occur within the life of this month. But we will have expenses toward that in between now and 2026.
Yes.
And so that is what we're looking at expending. We're not gonna set aside an X number of dollars for a new terminal, because I don't think it's gonna be completed by 2026. And so, and I don't know, I mean, you know, but my idea when we put it on here was, we're gonna have costs related to that we're gonna have to spend. And so, as far as putting a dollar figure in there, Carla, we really can't do that.
Okay, I just put question marks.
Okay, all right. You got two more, Harold?
Out, and this goes back to fighting fires. Me and Commissioner Miller have been in and talked to Jesse Mendoza and the sheriff, I think it would behoove us to have, we can do it, have some phones that we can, that me, Jesse, Jimmy, Vicky, whoever's actually out there running the fire can actually talk to our guys while they're out moving around. We did a pretty good job with that airport fire, the one we've had. But it's still a little unnerving when you're trying to dial on the phone and talk to somebody and tell them where to be and how to get there. So I'm gonna say the phones, number 7. And then that's about the end of mine.
Okay.
And I think Sheriff Cochran will agree with us, trying to talk to everybody and get everybody in place.
Lots of radios.
Radios though, well, I was looking at the satellite phones.
You're looking at the phones instead of radios?
Yeah, I meant to say, I was looking at that, but I was thinking the other,
The radios.
the radios.
Okay, so it's number 6?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry about that.
That's okay.
All right. Okay, Vicky?
He kind of took some of mine. The other is.
Well, see, that's good. If you took-
Dealer.
I mean, I hate to say this, but I'm really hoping you took some of Jimmy's too, because then that's how we narrow our list.
Okay, hold on, how much for the phones?
For the radios.
Radios.
Radios, yeah.
27,000,
Sir,
yes.
can I talk on that for just a minute?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the number we originally put in there, so I guess I need to amend it just a little bit, but in talking with all commissioners and talking to the sheriff, the radios that we were proposing or asking for is for Hale Center Fire Department, because they're on analog and they can't communicate except with each other. So, and I'll make this real brief, but they're on analog, so they need digital radios. And so by having a digital radio, it doesn't really increase the distance, but the reception is so much clearer where it seems like you're actually getting better distance. So by having digital radios for the Health Center Fire Department and for the commissioners and the precinct foremen and those people that we talked about. And then as I was talking to the sheriff, we also added radios for his department, because their radios are 2500s. But they're 10 years old. They quit making the 2500 about 8 years ago, so they're going to be obsolete. So now is the time to include 26 for the sheriff's office, 11 for the commissioner's foreman, county judge, and JP's, and Health Center Fire Department. That comes out to a total of 48 radios, and that is roughly at $19.50 each. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, now, let me be the, if we're gonna do that for Health Center, don't you think we're gonna need to do that for halfway?
You have to do it for all of them.
All the ones that we give money
Halfway.
to?
Let me,
Yes, sir, but
let
go
me,
go ahead.
I just thought of this when you
Mhm,
were
go
talking. Milwaukee, David can attest to this, does not go very far.
Correct.
And most of the time, these fire departments, like halfway, Health Center, are gonna be in the truck,
Yes.
fighting fire. Wouldn't it be better to equip, upgrade their radios in the fire trucks with the digital instead of the walkie? Because these walkies are not going to go, they can hear, but I guarantee you, they're not probably gonna talk very far over. If they could
Good point. Yes.
look at putting radios in the trucks that are digital.
Either part, good point. Either one would work. The problem we're having, which was my second point, is years ago we had, and let me go to the other side so I can actually.
I'm sorry, Toad, can't get
Hold on, it's
that,
a good
but
one. So the second point to that was, years ago, we had a emergency management receiver right out here by the, outside the courtroom, and that fell down. Max from Two Way Radio still has that receiver. A recommendation would be to put that receiver up at the Country Club west of Health Center. So by having that receiver out there, we could get better reception on that receiver. also, and I'm talking to the sheriff and talking to the commissioners, Judge, is by having that receiver up and running there at the Hale Center Airport, then if the system ever goes down on the sheriff's office, which it does on occasion, they can go to analog, of course, but if we put that receiver up there, they can flip over and get on the emergency management channel, which is what that receiver's for, and then the whole county can talk. That was the benefit to that. Adding that receiver up there to the tower would be approximately, according to Max, about $5,000 plus or minus.
Okay. So let's say this then, it would be easier for us to buy the radios for the trucks because we'd have to have a whole lot less of them. And we could incorporate the other fire departments within the county.
Well, and if it's approved and you give the deputies do walkies, which is 26 of them, because they use them a lot, we'll take the radios that we have and get an interlocal agreement with Health Center halfway and start passing those, the ones we have. They're just outdated.
Okay. Well, then let's figure this for maybe 26 for the sheriff's office, and for the commissioners.
Yes, sir.
And then maybe 1 or 2 each for the vehicles of the fire department.
Each fire department.
And then we could distribute the refurbished radios from the sheriff's office among the fire department.
Sure. And I think each fire department still needs a digital radio because call it incident command people or the leaders of each department have to be able to communicate with the other entities. So, yeah, 1 or 2 portables would work.
Okay.
So, taking that into account, it's 26 plus 11, and then we'll have to figure out 2
What the
per
radio.
vehicle, and I'll have to get that number.
Okay. So, let's see. And like I say, we don't have to solve the whole deal today, but, just for the radios, the walkies, the 27 and 11, that'd be 54,000. So let's say 70 total.
Okay. What fire departments did you put down?
Big
just
Hill
put-
Center halfway, Edmondson,
Petersburg.
Petersburg, and Abernathy.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Vicki, why don't you give us the ones that you and Harold had in common?
Radios,
Okay, and this doesn't have to be, I'm not ranking them as your 4th, 5th, and 6th choice. Just give me the ones that you had in common with Harold.
the radios,
Okay.
the courthouse flooring, courthouse restoration. One I would like to add is I think David had asked for the new lighter option for the
Okay.
jail.
And the Scott Air Packings,
Yes.
Do you
Is
have
that
a
on
price or ballpark?
that's number 18.
Yeah, I was thinking, it caught me off guard. It's gonna run about 15,000. And that is for a half a dozen Scott Air Packs with extra tanks for the jail. Because the ones we got now, the females can't,
Too heavy?
yeah, they're way too heavy.
The nurse on the stick is included in that?
No, sir.
The way it's written in this number 18, it has 5 AEDs, 2 nurse on the stick, and 6 Scott Air Pack.
Well, and I actually brought this up to David, and I kind of got it looking back in my mind, when I went to the roundtable discussion with the city of Plainview Fire Department and all that, and we did that deal about the tire. One of them brought up the subject of having these air packs, if that tire place ever catches on fire, and I talked to David about it, and he told me that those Scott Air Packs that we have at the sheriff's office, they're the same Scott Air Pack that me, you, and David had when the 3 of us were at the sheriff's office back in the 80s.
86.
And he said most of the females out there now, they're so big and bulky, you know, they can't pick them up and put them on. Jimmy knows it too.
Yeah, I did. So what was your estimate on that, Dave, with all that stuff?
It's a About 15,000. George requested a half a dozen with extra tanks, and then Jesse and I got talking. And it might not be a bad idea to get a couple of extras to put on daytime patrol and nighttime patrol in case we run into a situation where a house is getting smoked up, the guys have to go in there and get a lady out or something. Just to have one.
Now, what about the AEDs?
No, I do not have a price on that.
Okay.
All of that's
And the
together.
nurse on the
Right,
stick?
okay. No, we could not find it on the buy board, so I'll have to get with the hospital and see what they run.
So number 18 is just Scott Airback.
And the
All
other
of this
thing
is
we
together.
deal with.
All of this stuff.
That's fine.
That's just.
Yeah, see, there's no way that's gonna be enough money.
I'll get it for you here in just a
Okay.
minute.
Judge, on those AEDs, Commissioner Miller and I have spent quite some time looking at them. We need to get with someone that can tell us what would work best, but they're average from 500 to 1,000. Would you agree with that, Commissioner?
Okay. Now, you're including that on your number 18?
Yes.
Okay. So 15,000 for the Scott Airpacks, and you're figuring another 15?
Yes, sir.
No, that'd be
No.
much. Another 5? 5.
That would include their investment.
You have the total.
20,000 total for the Scott Airpacks and the AEDs.
For that line, you're just putting 20,000?
I'll get you a price here in just a second. I'll
I was
get
gonna
hold of
say-
the nurse.
Because it doesn't include all the other stuff listed on that item. I mean,
AEDs and the Scott Airpacks.
but it's also got nurse on a stick, breathing apparatus, oxygen tanks with masks, industrial buffer for the jail.
Well, that's just got a,
Well, no, the industrial buffer wouldn't be.
I mean, there's 6 Scott's air packs, then there's a comma, breathing apparatus, comma, oxygen tanks with masks, comma, industrial buffer for the jail. Those are, to me, those are all different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Don't put a total on that, Carmen.
Okay.
You just put 20,000, that's not gonna be enough money.
One day, what the jail got put on with Scott Airback. Cause I know what they're in.
Okay, Vicki.
What about the hazmat suits? I don't know any price on that for the JPs.
Okay. That would be something else that would fall under David's field. David, do you know what those hazmat suits would cost?
No, I do not.
Okay. But they're on your list, so we'll put them on there.
Number 17.
Anything else?
I'll get you.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, Jimmy.
Well, I kind of condensed my list down to all the courthouse projects as number 1. And the reason for that is the flagship of the county, and I felt like everything should be done at the courthouse first.
Floor.
Courthouse board.
The renovation.
Yeah, everything.
So how much, I didn't put a figure in the restoration for the courthouse.
Well, that was
What was
What's
that?
that mean?
Huh?
725.
Yeah, you gave us the figure.
Well,
I
I think she was totaling what we had so
that
far.
was the
Isn't that
total
what you were
Yeah.
doing, Carter?
Yeah, I gave you the total of
Oh, okay.
everything.
Well,
She
you
wasn't-
gave it when we were talking about this. I thought you
Yeah, I
added that
didn't,
up.
no, what, how much is that? I didn't put anything in there.
Because those are different totals,
No, I don't
if
have
you've
it.
noticed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is gonna take more study for us to come up and,
Would you come up?
So
Well,
do-
let me
but
go
do we
do my
wanna put-
calculator,
do we
because I'm
wanna
not
put
a brain.
You want my phone?
Figure in there?
I'll go do it on the calculator.
okay, well,
There's different
Well,
parts.
well,
I'll just do the highest amounts that are on each one of those.
okay, okay, Jimmy, go ahead.
Okay, like I say, all the courthouse stuff, number 1. And then, kind of go in over with Harold on the health department and the road project. Of course, then, I agree with police radio, so, raised. I want to throw the generators in, and I did some work on those, and I got quotes back, Caterpillar, I don't have them, but, sorry, I gave them all to Jesse. But, those, generators run about 65,000 each, but that doesn't include install.
Installation,
So 5 of them would be, 300, say 500,000.
just my observation.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Generators number 3.
Okay.
Just my observation, or I think we're all in accord, or thinking those courthouses.
Yeah, I did, and the reason I did some work on this, I'm gonna throw it in there. Carports, for precincts in the jail. This is just, they're gonna be, kind of blueprinted and everything could be signed off on, by an inspector. So you figure about 250,000 each. That because they had to fall, since most of them are inside the city limits, they had to fall within city guidelines. And that's just material.
So you're talking about many levels.
Yeah.
What number was it?
Carport.
Oh, carport.
They're actually a three-sided building,
What number?
15.
Thank you.
so you can figure probably 1.5.
Okay.
1.5?
1.5. What number was on?
That was your 10.
Is that right?
Melinda, did you find us a total on
I just went with all the high numbers on that, and it comes to $1,772,500. Now, he does have some things listed under general exclusions, like architectural fees, engineering fees, permits, temp toilets and hand washing stations, general conditions, and trash disposal. So I'm not sure, I mean, those would all have fees as well. So,
Where are you at?
I'll let Melinda finish.
well, I'm finished. I mean,
Well, I'm just gonna say, and this is not a legal opinion or anything, but if you're gonna do something to the courthouse, A, I think there's money available possibly from the Texas Historical Commission to do some of that, and B, I would implore you to use an architect and design professionals to accomplish it, so it becomes a good product.
And then, but that also is not to your expense, is the architectural and the engineering.
We would also need to have, like they did with the hospital renovation, have your own outside job manager, job supervisor, who will sit there and watch what the contractors are putting in the deal. Learned this from Donnie Evelyn, learned it from talking to David Cocker about the way that part of that jail was put together. There was not one out there, and that's why you have PVC pipe run under the ground, and you have a
Cast iron elbow.
cast iron elbow.
All right, anybody
That's more
else?
money, but it's, in the end, that would be,
Bottom line, what my goal was today was just what we did. What I'd like to do now is, if anyone else has any input, now Carla and Ida, and the new items that were added today, obviously weren't thought about before this meeting, so what we'll do is take these things back, let Jesse try to calculate them in an order, and then I can present them at court. We can present them at the next commissioner's court.
I guess I'm not understanding how y'all are gonna calculate it in order. I mean, were we supposed to put Harold's all in the order and everybody agreed with it, or what?
I think what he's talking about is take all of the ones that I put,
That Vicky and Jimmy put,
and take the one, and the ones that get actually voted, or not voted on, but. ones that-
Okay, I've got 1, 2,
the
3.
more-
What do you think, what is number 4?
Well, that's what, you know, if you're just gonna ask me offhand, then I'm gonna say courthouse items, because I think everyone agreed on those.
Okay,
You know, the biggest thing I just want to
Okay,
say a minute ago, the
and
biggest
that's
thing we
the-
got is everybody wants to redo this courthouse, because it's.
okay,
old.
and then that's the courthouse floors and the courthouse restoration?
Yes.
All right,
Everything, electrical.
okay, I'm doing 4, 5.
That's four.
Okay, so where are we going with 6?
I would say 6, you had 2 of the 3 talk about 8 and 9.
On this
No, I'm
schedule,
sorry, 8, the health department,
Okay, 6,
and 9 is the road project.
okay.
That's numbers, they're
So
like.
6, percentage at 6 is that what?
Okay, I'm to 7.
And then number 6, the police radios.
That would be number 8.
Okay,
And then from, number 9 would be the airport project.
okay, and you know we don't have a figure in there.
Even though we don't have a figure for that. And then number 10 is where we run into what we need to see as the number 10 item. And if y'all want to talk about it right now, we can.
So is number 19 the same as the radios? Where it
No,
says
ma'am.
rural fire
No,
equipment? It's a different,
That's,
It's like the.
That's where we
the-
talked about buying on a tanker truck or something.
So we don't have anything for T.
And so y'all want to come up with the number 10, or you just want to go with these 9 right now?
okay, what about generators? Was that listed? I mean, I thought everybody talked about
It was
it.
Vicky that said.
Yeah, I've got,
Well, Jimmy brought that up.
Oh, Jimmy.
Jimmy brought that
just saying, when I said that, we had that big power outage, that big storm that came through. Yeah, I mean, it didn't affect us that well, but it did affect other counties. I think we need to get a good updated backup.
Yeah.
So,
Y'all agree with that?
yeah,
That's number 10. Is there any disagreement with that?
Or would the sheriff's office be 10? It's, y'all all agreed on it,
Stabilizing the sheriff's office,
yeah.
the plumbing at the sheriff's office.
No, the 18.
18. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay.
yeah.
Let's do that as number 10.
Okay.
Okay, Carla, I can't see the screen. What do we have cybersecurity number 1, page.
Okay, hang on, let me get it, just a sec. Then I can probably get you a total of where you're at, other than we don't have. Wait a minute. I don't
Thank
do
you.
that.
That looks better though, Carla.
I don't do that though.
Okay, you can.
That big one?
Oh, yeah, I can see the big one.
I can see that.
Either.
Well, sorry. I do better with a mouse.
While we're waiting on that, while Carla's doing that, is there any other comment?
This hadn't really been discussed because it was just brought up today, but as far as any sort of economic development grants or anything like that, my recommendation, if we're gonna do that, would be to hire SPAG to administer that.
Okay. Well, now, actually, Jim, when I was when I brought that up, what I really meant is that one particular individual that came, I was thinking we would let them go the economic development route first and see what options they had to assist them, rather than us using this funding.
Well, and I guess my other recommendation is, rather than paying anything out piecemeal, and I'm just trying to look at a
Yes, sir.
broad, long view of people asking for grants, is I would recommend that it be in some, pursuant to some sort of established program and qualifications and all that, and not just on
Yes,
a
sir.
case-by-case basis.
And that was my reasoning about seeing what the EDC would do for them, because if we get into the grant, for number one, I don't want to be in the grant giving business, the administration part of it. I have no problem in using the funding to establish some grants if that's what the court wants to do. But if we do that, we need to go through, like you say, SPAG or some type of organization that would execute that for us. So, thank you.
I'm sorry, I gotta ask one more. The restoration, did we have it ever come up with an amount on it?
About 1.8.
I have it as number 5 now.
It was about 1.8.
1.8 is what I got.
Okay. Sheriff, did you ever come up with a figure on yours?
Nurses on a stick, two of them would be between 6 and 8.
Okay. But this whole line is what they're approving?
We're probably just gonna have to come up with a figure later.
Okay,
because
you want
he's-
I'll
just-
have to get the AD.
He's not gonna have the industrial buffer and the breathing apparatus and oxygen tanks and stuff. He gave us the 15,000, but that was strictly for the Scott Air Packs.
I think total you're looking with the 8,000 would be about 28,000 from what
It's where we're
was said.
What he said?
The
80,000?
Scott Air Packs and
How
the
much
nurse
is
on the
that buffer
stick
from
and
You're looking at about probably around
and
25.
the AEDs would total would be about 28.
Yeah.
That's what I
Get a price on that buffer,
No.
So what should I put here?
about 1,500.
What should I put the total on that
I
line?
think about 28.
28,000.
That's all we have today. That's
Why
all
don't
we
you put
have today.
$40,000 on
Okay. That's what I'm looking for, is a rounding up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Without giving an amount on the
Airport?
airport.
I don't think it's gonna grab it, Carmen, with your question marks. You might wanna continue.
Well, it did. It gave a total. We're over 6 million
You're done.
with, and that's not what that's got that carports in it and things like that. The total that y'all given me prices on
Is what?
is 6.6 million.
Okay, we're done?
But what we've approved 1 through 10,
Can you list those?
yes, I sure can. One is cybersecurity, 2 is HVAC. Am I going too fast? 3 is courthouse electrical checkup. 4 is courthouse floors, carpet or laminate. 5 is courthouse restoration, all floors. 6 is the health department partnership with Plainview, City of Plainview. 7 is road project to pave the county road. 8 is the police radios for fire departments, commissioners, county judge, JPs, sheriff's office. 9 is the airport project, and 10 is the sheriff's office, AEDs, nurse on a stick, all of those things. What is nurse on a stick?
Temperature, blood pressure, and all that stuff.
Okay, that just sounds. I just was like, what is a nurse on a stick? Oh, okay.
Somebody's gonna sell in there, they're laying there, you poke them, and if they don't move, then you.
Nurse on a stick says.
All right, so we've come up with our 10 items. Obviously, we're not done because our 10 items are gonna be more than what our total is. And so, my suggestion is we go through or 1 through, at this point, maybe 1 through 5. I think on number 5, we might, do some checking with the historical commission and see if there's funding available, if there is, if there's a matching fund that the county would have to pay, and do that before we go real far into that, and see if there's funding from there available.
With what you have, David, those 10 items, and there's no amount in the airport, that hits 5.135.
Say that again.
5,135,000.
Number 9 is there. Okay, is there any comments? Yes, sir.
I'm probably gonna show my ignorance here because I just wanna make sure this premium pay is listed on here. And I'm just wanting to make sure, I've got a couple of questions. One, are we, the judge, Chipoli's here with me basically on that issue as well. Number 1, is that pretty much a dead issue with regard to the ARPA funds? And number 2, a question that we had yesterday that we really, because of the procedure and the way Commissioner's Court is set up, we certainly didn't want to get outside of those procedures. And this question would have been outside of that is, whatever is done on that, we were curious as to know who actually excluded our people on the original calculations of those figures. And by what authority or logic or reason, legal or otherwise, was that done? I mean, that's really, I mean, like I said yesterday, I mean, we feel like we have a fiduciary duty in terms of what, what our people are subjected to if they're treated differently than what the other county employees are treated.
Okay, all right. First of all, on the ARPA funding, there's 2 separate funding requests that we're talking about. The ARPA funding, the premium pay, we've been led, Vicki, Harold, and I were at a conference, and TAC told us to stay away from ARPA, premium payments under ARPA. They told us not to do it. And obviously, by going through our items this morning, that was not in the top 10 of anybody. So, if we're ever going to pronounce anything dead on this list, that would probably be you, okay? Now, what was brought up yesterday was the county received $430-something thousand.
We received $404,085 from Texas Department of Emergency Management, and $30,000 was from the Office of the Attorney General.
Okay, and I think what Ida brought up yesterday was those funds, the $435,000. And I don't want to speak for Ida, she's sitting right there, but she has explained to me that $435,000 was equally distributed among everyone. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Right, but the original deal excluded us.
Okay.
And I was wondering who made the decision to do that?
Well, again, with that said, is that, it was about the ARPA funds. The ARPA funds had specific specifications how to distribute premium pay. With that said, that was what Judge and I discussed, that we would not use premium funds, ARPA funds, we would use the grants.
Okay, that doesn't
So
answer,
that got tabled.
that doesn't answer my question. The original, because I watched the YouTube video
Mhm.
that you presented,
Correct.
and it was my understanding that you were asked whether or not you did that on your own, and you said yes. And I'm just trying to figure out, who was the one that decided to
Okay.
calculate that, excluding probation, part of the judge's staff, and my staff, with the exception of Ellie?
I did not act alone, Wally. Okay? It was a discussion we had at a conference that was for the whole, it was the, do you recall that, Judge, when we were meeting with the treasurers? Melinda, you were there? There was, it was just a discussion, and they were talking about it. It had just come out, and it was just a discussion, and we talked about it. And we just came up with figures. Now, then when I presented it,
Now, if you're talking about when we were at the legislative conference.
yes.
When we were at the legislative conference and everybody was just talking about it.
Yeah, we
it
were just
wasn't-
talking about it,
I
and it
mean,
was, they were talking
nothing
about
was-
how to handle the funds. So then, we talked about it, and when it was presented exactly how the, what do they call the parameters of that ARPA funds.
But you still didn't answer my question, because we were excluded when there were other similarly situated employees that were included.
I know this, because I asked, and I may be wrong with what I did. That piece of paper, when it showed up that day in court, I know none of the commissioners had any idea. We had no idea that was coming, and we had no idea that anybody was gonna be excluded.
We have a committee, or allegedly, we have a committee, and we discuss premium pay. Again, I didn't stand alone, the committee discussed it, and we discussed what we were premium pay.
We
And
did.
we talked about elected officials not being included, and anybody, we did speak about that.
Now, I did, we were on the committee, Chris, Daniel, and I were on the committee, and we did talk about that. Now, I don't recall, we talked about calculating it, but I don't recall anything about excluding people or anything like
And
that.
then when we met for that first meeting, it was a dead issue then, period. So then, that's when the judge and I, on the side, talked about, let's just put it in as the grant money that we could utilize.
But it was originally presented, you will agree, on tape, it was presented to exclude our people.
But our committee discussed it, and that would be Judge, Melinda, Tyree, Carla, myself, Jess, and Chris.
But we never discussed
I
leaving
can assure
anybody
you,
out.
I'll assure you
That
right
was
now from the
never-
Commissioner's point.
Yes, we did,
board
because we
sample.
talked about, Carla, we talked about
I
it
did,
being
I did
elected
not.
officials.
No, I knew elected officials were not gonna be paid. That was the only thing
And-
that was said off the
And it was
top.
stipulated in the ARPA funds that, people from, that worked from home were not. Jim, you were there.
Well,
I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but I don't remember that. I mean, I remember the calculating and the elected officials not being eligible, but I didn't recall we were gonna exclude anybody.
With working at home, Judge, you don't recall that?
To be honest, I don't.
Is that on tape?
Not at the meeting, no. But I don't recall
That's
it
not,
either.
that's not on tape, that's where it originated from.
Well, I knew we talked about it. Go ahead, Jim.
well, I don't recall that discussion, but I think it's a moot point because A, the constitutional provision, and B, the way that we've received the ARPA funds and counted them as lost revenue, for several reasons, we can't do that use of them anyway. So I don't see a reason to sit here and belabor the point, so.
Well,
I understand you're upset, and I understand that, but if we're done with the meeting, I've got other things I've got to be doing, so. And I'm not, trust me, I'm not just so you should be upset, but.
But bottom line, as far as ARPA funding, there is no premium left. Okay?
And we don't have, that's not our issue. That is y'all's realm of authority. We understand that. Outside of just being private citizens, we don't have anything to say about that. But in the future, we would certainly, for whatever reason, it was excluded. You know, we're not asking everybody to like the DA's office or the courts or whatever. We're just asking for everybody to be treated the same. And that if it's, you know, some personal issue, that it remain not brought into a professional decision.
Judge, I did not act unprofessionally. I apologize if you're offended. That was a discussion, a meeting that was not recorded, apparently. That's all I gotta say.
All right. Anyone else have anything on the ARPA funds? All right. Well, it is 10:20. What we'll do from this point on, we've got our top 10 items. Jesse will coordinate all 10, but he'll ask members of the court and elected officials, David, to assist him.
Yes.
In securing estimates, proposals, bids, whatever we need to do, and then we'll act on those items as they come up to the court. All right? We stand adjourned at 10:23 a.m.